You think Ultrahuman won because they built a shiny smart ring. You are wrong. Their real problem was trust. In India, most people start health only after a scary report. Sugar high, cholesterol red, doctor's lecture. But Ultrahuman was trying something weirder. Sell a health product to people who aren't patients and ask them to wear a sensor. Every day, no hospital brand, no big celebrity doctor, no government program backing them, no mass awareness. So what did they do? They didn't start with a ring, they started with a program, a high-touch, almost manual service. And that messy start turned into a global wearable company. Ultrahuman's ring launched later, and the company raised multiple rounds of funding along the way. Here's the promise. In the next few minutes, you'll see how they validated the pain, how they picked a tiny first audience, how they sold clarity before selling hardware, and the demand signals that screamed, "This is real." One line to remember: data is cheap, decisions are expensive. To understand Ultrahuman, we need to rewind to Bengaluru. Around 2019, the company was founded by Mohit Kumar. He had worked in consumer tech and fitness. He had seen a pattern. People weren't confused about workouts, they were confused about their own body. One friend thrives on oats, another gets sleepy after the same bowl. Two people follow the same diet. One loses weight, one feels worse. The original idea was simple: make metabolic health understandable, not with generic tips, with your own data. The core bet was one sentence: if you show people real-time cause and effect, they will change behavior. Not because of motivation, because the fog disappears. Another soundbite: surveys lie, physiology doesn't. Picture the old world, it's Monday morning. You're trying to be healthy. You do the classic routine: steel bottle on desk, salad at lunch, no sugar in chai. You feel proud. Then 4 p.m. hits. That office chair feels like a punishment. Your eyes burn, your brain becomes slow. You open Swiggy, you stare at cookies, you bargain with yourself. Just today, you felt this. Now a second scene, it's Sunday, you go for a walk, you come back and reward yourself. Idli, dosa, maybe a juice. It's healthy, right? Then you feel sleepy. Not relaxed, slow, sleepy. Heavy sleepy. Like someone pulled your plug. And the worst scene, a yearly health check. You get a PDF, 20 markers, red arrows. A doctor says, reduce carbs. That's it. No map, no explanation, just fear. This is what Ultrahuman leaned into. Not fat loss, not six-pack, uncertainty. Here's a line worth stealing. Uncertainty is the real enemy. So what did people do instead? They didn't sit idle. They tried everything. And it was messy. Most people start with YouTube. A video says, stop rice. Another says, rice is fine. You try keto for 3 days. Day 4, you smell biryani. You break. Then you feel guilty. You don't just lose the diet. You lose confidence. Then people buy generic fitness apps, steps, calories, water reminders. The app shouts, move more. But it can't answer one question. Why do I crash after this exact meal? So you keep logging. 2 weeks later, logging dies. Because logging without meaning feels like homework. Some people get serious. They do blood tests, fasting glucose, HbA1c, maybe thyroid. The report is a snapshot, 1 photo per year. But your metabolism is a movie. You change dinner, you change sleep, you travel. Stress spikes. The snapshot misses the whole plot. You still don't know what caused what. And some people go full supplement mode. Magnesium, apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, random powder from Instagram. You spend money, you take it sincerely. And if you feel better one day, you credit the powder. If you feel worse, you blame yourself. Either way, you're still guessing. You've seen this too. One friend sends you a WhatsApp forward, drink jeera water, fat will melt. And you want to believe, because clarity is rare. So Ultrahuman's investigation wasn't, do people want a wearable? It was, do people want answers fast enough to act? They leaned into a tool that makes cause and effect visible, continuous glucose monitoring. CGM. But CGM had baggage. In many minds, it was for diabetes. And in India, diabetes is not cool. It's scary. It's stigma. It's family WhatsApp panic. So they had to position it differently. Not as you're sick, as you're learning. That's a hard sell. Harder than selling protein. Harder than selling a gym membership. So they zoomed into the people who already experiment. The ones who track, the ones who feel patterns, the ones who talk about it. Think founders, late nights, too much coffee, random meals. They want stable energy. Think endurance runners, training at 6 am, timing carbs, avoiding bonks. Think biohacker types, wearables, aura screenshots, Whoop discussions, HRV obsession. If you know, you know. Why them? Because they don't need convincing that health matters. They need a sharper mirror. And they are reachable. One gym, one office, one Twitter thread, one Bangalore run club, dense pockets, fast feedback, soundbite, start where the pain repeats. Now the is it worth it question. Because this isn't a mass market on day one. This is a wedge, micro math time. If someone crashes at 4 pm, 5 days a week, that's 20 crashes a month. Even if each crash costs just 20 minutes of focus, that's around 400 minutes, nearly 7 hours per month. 7 hours of brain dead time. That's a full workday. If your product gives them back one workday a month, it's not wellness, it's performance, it's income, it's sanity. And there's a second angle. Food is daily, not yearly, not quarterly, daily. That means behavior can change daily, feedback can arrive daily, so retention can be real. But here's the twist. To make this work, you don't need everyone. You need the early obsessives, the ones who become unpaid marketers, because they share screenshots, they debate meals, they pull friends in, another soundbite, win a small tribe, then expand. Let's put the old journey next to the new one, not as theory, as real life. Old journey starts with guilt. You eat, you feel weird, you guess, you Google, you follow advice for 2 days, you break on day 3, you promise from Monday. Then you do a blood test months later, a PDF comes, you still don't know what caused what. New journey is tighter. You eat, you see the response. Not next year, now. Old journey is arguments. Rise bad, rise fine. New journey is personal. Rise after a walk works for me. Old journey makes you blame yourself. New journey makes you adjust the system. Soundbite. Feedback turns shame into strategy. So what was the first version? It wasn't a ring. It wasn't a polished app with fancy charts. Ultrahuman's early wedge was a metabolic fitness program built around CGMs. In the early days, the product was a combination. A sensor on your arm, an app experience, and a lot of human help. Messy reality. You don't just ship a sensor, you handle onboarding. You explain what a glucose spike means. You calm anxiety. You answer DMs. Someone messages at 11 pm. Bro, my glucose shot up after banana? You reply. You ask what else they ate. You suggest a small experiment tomorrow. Same banana, but after protein or after a walk. Behind the scenes, this is labor. Manual nudges, manual interpretation, manual follow-ups. And that's the point. They were not testing features, they were testing behavior. Will people run experiments on themselves? Will they keep wearing it? Will they pay to continue? Soundbite. They didn't start with code, they started with coaching. Then the signals started showing up. Not compliments, behavior. First thing they noticed, people kept checking the app, not once a week, multiple times a day, because meals happen daily. Better than that, users didn't just finish the program, they asked what's next? What other biomarker can we track? How do I stabilize mornings? How do I handle a wedding buffet? Then came referrals. The most social users did the selling. Gym friends, run clubs, founder circles. One person posts a spike screenshot, 3 others want to try, and the killer signal. People started asking for less friction. No patch, no arm sensor, something you can just wear. That pull matters. Because that's not marketing pushing. That's users dragging you forward. Soundbite. The real demand asks for convenience. Ultrahuman didn't do what everyone expected. Most health startups start with content, blogs, recipes, generic plans. They sell hope. Ultrahuman sold proof. While others said, trust us, they said, look at your body. And while many wearable brands start with hardware glam, Ultrahuman started with the ugliest thing. A service, humans in the loop, DMs, hand-holding. Because when the problem is confusion, the product is clarity. They weren't selling a sensor. They were selling the feeling of control. Think about that. You don't wake up wanting a graph. You wake up wanting a good day. That's why the ring makes sense later. The ring isn't the starting line. It's the finish line. Call back to the real problem: trust. They earn trust by showing cause and effect, not by shouting world class, soundbite. People don't pay for data, they pay for decisions. If you're building something right now, hold that thought. Because the next part is your playbook. Here are the moves to steal, not theory. Moves. 1. Validate the confusion, not the category. Ultrahuman wasn't selling wearables, they were deleting guesswork. If you're building in finance or education, find the moment people feel blind. Fix that moment. Soundbite. Kill the fog. Win the user. 2. Start with the people who experiment weekly. They give faster feedback. They also talk more. If your product needs behavior change, begin with high-frequency users, not the average crowd. Soundbite. Frequency beats persuasion. 3. Begin as a service if you must. Manual effort is not a shame, it's a microscope. If you can't deliver the outcome manually, you won't deliver it with an app. Soundbite. Do it manually once, then automate. 4. Listen for make it easier requests. When users ask for less friction, that's product pull. That's when you justify building the scalable form factor. Soundbite. Complaints are roadmap gold. Now I want to know your version of this. Comment in this exact template. For who, the confusing moment is when, and it costs them time or money. Example. For CA students, the confusing moment is mock tests, and it costs them confidence. Or, for salon owners, the confusing moment is inventory, and it costs them cash. I'll pick a few and turn them into a